Viruses are viruses. They're always around us. We always are in contact with some form of virus. There's at least 30 million on our skin at any given time. And our immune system learns to adapt to that.
Welcome to the 100-Year Lifestyle Podcast, dedicated to you and your loved ones living at 100% for 100 years and beyond. I'm your host, Dr. Eric Plasker. Welcome, everybody, to the 100-Year Lifestyle Podcast. Yes, we are transforming health and longevity worldwide so that you and your loved ones can live at 100% for 100 years and beyond. And hey, we have a special guest today that is changing lives in this community with all the craziness that's going on in the world. Should I mask? Should I not mask? How do I keep myself healthy, take care of my immune system? He's a local celebrity in the Bristol, Virginia, Tennessee area. Please welcome my good friend, 100-Year Lifestyle affiliate, chiropractor, Dr. Todd Muncy.
Thank you for having me, Eric. Hey, let me just start off by saying I appreciate how much you do for the chiropractic world and our community as a whole. Without the 100-Year Lifestyle, I don't know where I would be right now as a practitioner and following that paradigm throughout. You have contributed so much to our profession that, I'm just so appreciative of it all.
Well, I appreciate you because you're taking this conversation and this message and the care directly to your community who we're talking to today, all the people in your community that need to hear what you're doing and hear what you're saying. And certainly the practitioners also getting out of that crisis mindset and adopting a long-term vision. And you've been going on a local TV station in your area. You've been going every week just about, and you've been giving a message. Talk to us today about some of the things that you're communicating in this segment that you have with your local station.
Well, basically what I'm communicating is how to get and stay well and using the principles behind the 100-Year Lifestyle to do that. People, as you know, are living longer than they ever thought they would. They're living, 70, 80, 90 years, and they're not living as healthy as we should. We live in a nursing home generation. And when we look at all the craziness of the world with COVID-19 and who it affected mostly, who were the most vulnerable were the people that had spent their lifetime living to the point at which they spent the rest of their latter years in the nursing home.
Yeah, it's true. And this is, their motto, as we talk about often, is if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's how they grew up, because they only thought they were going to live 50, 60 years. But what they didn't realize is, number one, their life expectancy potential is longer than ever. That's the first thing.
And going up every year. Actually, it started to level off and go down because of a lot of this craziness. And what we've learned from what you're doing with these people and taking care of a lot of these people and their generations, their younger generations of family, is not only were they blindsided by their longevity, but along the way, they made themselves more vulnerable because of the lifestyle choices that they made, which is what you're doing a lot of, is trying to get people to wake up, to change their life and become a least vulnerable person. Talk some about that. Look, I get on the show every week. It's at 10 o'clock every week. And I get the opportunity to tell people that, we don't have to live the way we're living. We live in a society of obesity. You and I talked years ago about the opioid crisis and what was causing that, and how my region, we're some of the worst in the country for the opioid crisis. And what was causing that? Well, it was poor health style choices, lifestyle choices that people were making. I mean, the choice to be overweight, to be, have hypertension, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, those were all choices. And, not in all cases did people have, the opportunity to choose to have heart disease. And I would assume that most don't want to ever choose to have that. But it's the choices that they were making throughout the course of their lifetime that were causing this. And we really want to get back to, with this program that I'm doing, is how to reverse that process.
Yeah, and which is really important, because I think a big misconception that people have is that they'll say to me, and you hear it all the time, your patients will put on their history forms when they come in. We see it in our office. They'll say, I have a family history of heart disease, or I have a family history of cancer or diabetes. And they'll write it on their history form. And what they're thinking, which is incorrect, and we know to not be true today, is that these are primarily lifestyle conditions. They are not
genetic conditions, yet they are blaming their genes so they don't think they have control, and they don't realize that they inherited the lifestyle.
You know, I see families and generations of families that have postural issues. Now, that's just one example. You see the postural issue and they go, well, this is just a family trait of ours. And I'll take x-rays of these people and go, wait a minute, there's no family trait here. The only thing is that everybody's leaning forward and it's a learned habit. Just like our lifestyle are learned habits. You know, growing up in the mountains of West Virginia, Tennessee, Virginia, that region, I saw a lot of lifestyle habits. And they were familial habits, but not genetics. And I hear it all the time, just like you said, type 2 diabetes. Well, diabetes, sugar runs in my family. Well, number one, sugar runs in everybody's family. We all have sugar and we need it. But number two, what we did find is, and what we see is that it's familial learned habits. This group of people eats a certain way. And they pass that from generation to generation to generation, eating the same way, same amount of exercise, same type of work. Everything is all the same. And then you get the family members that get outside of that and say, I don't want to live like that. And they don't. And they're healthy and they're lean and they stay healthy for the course of their lifetime. While other family members are getting sick and dying of cancer, type 2 diabetes, heart disease. And, you know, it amazes me that we still don't understand that as a whole in our community. And that's one of the reasons I get out there and do what I do, is because we need to get people to understand that these are habits, not genetics. They're choices.
So true. And I'll tell you something that happened to me just the other day, because you and I, we talk a lot periodically on the phone, and we'll talk about all the things that are happening in this COVID world. And this happened literally just a few days ago. I'm online at the local grocery store, and I'm going to get some vegetables and some fruit and some lean meat to make a nice dinner. And there's a woman standing in front of me, and she's wearing a mask, which I'm not wearing a mask. So I'm not doing it. I'm not a vulnerable person. I don't judge anybody if they're afraid. Don't judge me. Live and let live is what I say, because I don't really believe what people are being told in the mass media about how it's only affecting the most vulnerable people. Well, here's what happened. This woman's in front of me. She's got, I think it was like 8 1-liter bottles of Coca-Cola. In addition to that, she had 6 half-liter bottles of Coca-Cola. And then she had 3 6-packs of Coca-Cola. And along with that, she had all kinds of other sugary items to eat. She had some chips that were filled with GMOs and just horrible ingredients. And she's looking at me without a mask, and she's mask shaming me because I wasn't wearing a mask, and she was concerned that she was going to catch a virus or something like that from somebody like me, who doesn't have it, by the way, but wasn't wearing a mask. And it made me a little crazy, because I'm saying, listen, with what you're eating and what you're drinking, you should not be afraid of just this coronavirus. Based on what you're eating and being 75 pounds overweight on top of that, you should be afraid of everything and live like that. So we've talked about some of these situations. We've talked about masks, and we've talked about the immune system, and you majored in biology, correct?
Yep.
Talk to us about some of the things that you know to be true about viruses and bacteria, and what you've learned about the immune system, that maybe that'll help some of our people that are listening.
Well, if we want to keep it really simple, we can just say that a healthy immune system fights off most viruses, but we have receptors in our body that take on these viruses and win and fight the battle. You know, viruses are viruses. They're always around us. We always are in contact with some form of virus. There's at least 30 million on our skin at any given time, and our immune system learns to adapt to that. And, you know, one of the things you and I talked about a while back was the fact about the old movie, The Boy in the Bubble. Hiding away from a virus in an insanely clean environment only serves to weaken your immune system, because like you, your immune system has to learn to handle certain situations. Hence why kids should be running around barefooted outside and not be in the house being wiped down with Clorox wipes. Because we need to tell our immune system what we want it to handle, what it needs to handle, and put it into contact with these situations. You know, if you really want to talk about masks, your body is a mask. It's designed to handle these things. It has epithelial cells in your nose. It has skin. It has all these defenses to defend itself. but we are still trying to chemically fight a virus from the inside. Now, something a lot of people don't know about this virus is that it is a SARS type virus, okay? And, right now they're still in the early stages studying the virus. They're really going to find out that this one does what all SARS type viruses do, gets weaker as it mutates. And it affects people less and less harshly, even people with comorbidities. Now, this one seems to have affected people with comorbidities such as, guess what? Obesity, type 2 diabetes, heart disease as its top three. And we blamed it on the elderly. Viruses don't just instantaneously attack the elderly and say, well, you're old, so I'm going to kill you. There's thousands of people every year that are 80, 90 years old that get viruses and do just fine with them, even viruses as bad as COVID.
Yeah, we've posted cases of people over 100 years old, 106, 107, one woman 113 that actually recovered. And so, we talk about, and we've been talking about this for decades, about the importance of the immune system. We know the nervous system controls and coordinates the function of the immune system. It's a key piece of the immune system. So talk about what your patients specifically who are under lifestyle care, making that transition from crisis care to lifestyle care. They're learning what you have learned and taught them, what we have taught them through the 100-Year Lifestyle and the Becoming a Least Vulnerable Person information that we have been putting out there. What are they seeing? Is their confidence growing? Are they less afraid? Are they more resistant? What are you finding?
Well, more resistance, absolutely. We know that's happening. I have patients that come in regularly, and I have one that's been in my office for over 5 years now. And when she first came in, every year, by the middle of November, she had had bronchitis 3 times already, and sometimes pneumonia or something else. Since she's been coming to my office and getting regular chiropractic adjustments and taking care of herself with lifestyle care, she hasn't had those anymore. She doesn't go through that process. And to this day, it still amazes her that she doesn't go through that every year. And she goes, I'm sticking to chiropractic no matter what, because I understand it helps me. All of my patients, our office isn't necessarily a mask-free zone, even though I'm not going to wear one because I'm like you. I believe that the immune system is what it is. But if I'm not going to shame somebody that wants to wear one, but our patients have made it that way. Our patients are confident that their immune system is designed to handle this. Our patients also look at ways to become healthy. Even our patients that are overweight are always looking for a way to get better and do better and work on it. And they understand, that it is the lifestyle choices that they make that are causing the problem. It always boils down to perspective.
Yeah, and fear plays a big role too, because we know that fear affects the immune system. If people go back and they read that Least Vulnerable Person article on 100-Year Lifestyle or on your website, or watch that video, listen to that podcast, it is well documented that fear causes stress that can weaken the immune system. Negative thinking can weaken the immune system. We know that all types of physical stress can weaken the immune system. So everything that you and I are talking about here is well documented. And what's interesting as I think about your history too, because you have committed yourself to a lifetime of service. You don't go to work every day to go to a job. I mean, that's what I love about you. You're very passionate about the work that you're doing, just like a lot of our 100-Year Lifestyle affiliates, our chiropractors that are out there helping their community. You also served our country. Talk about that, what you learned about service, our country's values, things like that, and how it relates to some of these things that you're seeing that are taking place right now.
Well, I spent 14 years of my life given to this country because I had a vision that, I needed to give something back to, our society as a whole. I also was, a student of history growing up, and I felt like that the United States is one of the greatest countries in the world. It gave more opportunities to more people than any other place in the world, and I was going in to defend it at all costs. We actually went to Honduras in I think it was 1988. Went in and did some things for the U.S. government to clear that region up, and then came home, and I got hurt when I got home from the service. And, my dedication to the military and to our country, I tried to stay in as long as I could, but I'd broken my neck and back in 4 places. And I stuck with it and persevered because I wanted to give back to what had been given to me. And, I look at today's society and it really frustrates me because you were talking about fear and you were talking about all the things that are out there. And I don't know if fear is so much the problem, but negativity. Negativity drives that fear. And what I learned from serving our country is that there's bigger stuff out there than just us. This country has worked so long to recover from the scars of its past, from the history of its past. And when I saw these people out tearing down monuments, I really got a little crazy on that because of my love for what I did and what my fellow soldiers did, and my guys that didn't come back from Iraq and Iran, my guys that did come back that are mentally scarred. And I'm sorry if I get on a rant about this, but when I've got buddies that don't have legs, it really offended me when I see them start to tear down this great country because we went to serve this country and do something for it so that they could have the right to do some of the things that they do. And I started thinking, and it broke my heart because I started thinking, and I called you, and you'll remember this. They started tearing down the monuments, and they didn't understand why they're tearing down the monuments. And that frustrated me because what are we teaching our kids? I have friends that are Jewish, and I have friends that are German. My neighbor that I grew up with was a German child during World War II and lived in Germany during the Holocaust and witnessed it. And I asked you what you thought about, Auschwitz still standing. What did you think about that? And what I learned from asking those questions from that German lady and from my Jewish friends is that they wanted to leave that up there because they derive strength from it on the Jewish side. They got their strength from understanding we survived this, that God persevered and we survived, and we're never going to let this happen to us again. And that German woman, who's now a Methodist preacher that lives beside my mom and dad, she said, we left it up and appreciate it being up so we never forget what we did to another human being. And we never let it happen again. And I thought, wow, look at that. And then I asked somebody that didn't believe that the Holocaust ever happened. And I said, what about Auschwitz? What about it's still there? What about, well, that's just, and I go, wait a minute, it's all perspective. You can either choose to look at the positive and derive the strength from that which was negative in your life, or you can choose to dwell on it, never let it go, stay sick, stay miserable, add stress to your life that you don't need, and make that the thing that steals your power throughout the rest of your life. And it will. And I was so heartbroken about thinking about that, thinking, what are we teaching our kids?
Yeah, it's, and I remember my daughter Emily went on March of the Living, which is a program when she was in high school where she flew over and she went on the march that these Holocaust victims went on. I don't remember which of the death camps that she went to, but she went there, and it was amazing experience that she had seeing that. And then she went to Israel and just was with the Jewish people in Israel, and it was an amazing trip. I think it was in a lot of ways life-changing for her. And I do think what you're saying is true, that we all have scars in our history, but we should never forget. We should never forget. And certainly one thing that's true, going back to what you said about negativity and positivity, one thing is definitely true about history and things that are happening even today is that people can screw everything up and people can make everything better.
That's right.
You get to choose which one of those sides you want to be on. So you're on the side of making it better. I know we're on the side of making it better. And so what's next for you and your community? What are you going to talk about next? And what do people need to know as we wind down and just leave them with this great, I think, very powerful, relevant, inspirational message?
Eric, one of the things I'm going to be talking about is how to get positive and get healthy. My next TV appearance is going to be about genetics and choices, but it's also going to be about choices to listen to what's good in your life and what's bad in your life. I mean, you said it. I mean, you said exactly what I was getting ready to say is, the negativity that we produce, we can either choose to dwell on it or we can choose to make it a positive influence in our life. And it is those lifestyle choices that drive us to a future of either health or sickness, because dwelling on the bad is always going to be a negative impact on your immune system. But dwelling on the positive is always going to be a positive impact. And you're right. As people, we can either choose the good or the bad. It's who we are and how we want to live. But we're going to go forward by continuing to teach. And I'm going to continue to do the program because I want to get this message out more and more and more.
Well, we're grateful that you're getting the message out there. You're doing a great job getting the message out there. And, for people that are listening, and I said this to one of our patients came in at one point early on in this pandemic, and I gave them the choice. I said, we are not wearing masks in here. We are not afraid. We are safe. We are not afraid. And I said this, and this was really important. It hit home for her. I said, just because we're not afraid doesn't mean we're reckless. We understand, I understand, we have studied the immune system. We are not vulnerable people. Our immune systems are adapting. Our immune system can deal with this, and you are safe in this space while we take the right precautions for you. So you're welcome to wear that mask if you want to. But I think this is a big thing based on what you just said too. People that are wearing masks and going around, mask shaming people, that's like the newest term, and they think we're being reckless. And just the opposite is true.
That's their own fear being expressed.
Right.
Anxiety and fear being expressed. And we do that as well. We let people know that they're safe in this environment. We understand the immune system, and we're going to do everything in our power to protect yours and ours, because we want you to be as healthy and happy as you can over the course of your lifetime. But we also want you to be able to walk outside and breathe air without getting sick.
Yeah, having the knowledge really makes the difference. And so,
it does.
Listen, remember, 100-year-old people have survived multiple pandemics. You just survived your first pandemic. If you're listening to this, you survived your pandemic. Give yourself a round of applause. You have a strong immune system. Exercise your immune system. And remember, everybody, just like our good friend, Dr. Todd Muncy, is telling us, your 100 is coming. You make the call through the choices that you make. Dr. Todd, great job. Appreciate you so much. Keep serving those people. Love and appreciate you, my friend.
Eric, thank you so much. I appreciate you.
All right, Dr. Eric Plasker signing off. Make sure you share this podcast, this video with your friends, coworkers, family members. Follow us on our social media pages. Maybe Dr. Muncy will post some of his videos from his TV appearances, and we appreciate you so much once again, Dr. Todd. Take care, everybody. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much for joining us on the 100-Year Lifestyle Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode. If you have topics that you want us to cover, people you want us to interview, maybe you have some stories that you want to share, stories of yourself, loved ones, people in your life, we would love to hear from you and share your story. Please email us at my100@100yearlifestyle.com. And remember, nobody wants to get to 100 or even 50, 60, or 70 for that matter, crippled, broke, and alone. So please share the 100-Year Lifestyle, all of our podcasts, social media pages, website with your family, friends, and coworkers so they can take this journey with you. And until next time, adjust your lifestyle. Live your best life today and every day on the road to a sensational century. Dr. Plasker signing off.